Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome back to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Episode 2 of Season 3, with your hosts, Joe Dillard Jr., Lamonte Thomas, and introducing Derrick Alston. Today's special guest, Ara Towns, former Indiana Hoosier track star and Bethel High School in Virginia track star legend.
What's going on, everybody? This is Commonwealth Sports Talk. I am Lamonte Thomas, K-A-L-T. I got my main man, Joe Dillard, JoJo Radio. What's going on, brother?
Another day in paradise, man. A little bit of a role reversal, but I love it.
Yeah, you already know. So, yeah, this is technically Episode 2, right, of Season 3 of Commonwealth Sports Talk. Is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports Network, also brought to you by Grind and Pray.
Absolutely. And you know what it is. This podcast is designed to spread knowledge, teach, and inform the listener and viewer about the positive advancement of Virginia athletes born or raised, and definitely born and raised. What we got for them today?
Man, Episode 2. Today we have Bethel High School legend and 757 athletic royalty, Ara Towns. Man, want to talk about it on the track?
I saw it from afar on Big Bethel Road. On Big Bethel Road, that woman was making some noise. Do you hear me?
Yeah, early. Came in and started doing it early. I mean, she's a 3-time state champion in the 100-meter dash. Don't challenge her to a race. It's not happening for you. Yeah, she gets down, man.
She got 55, that 100, and that 200.
Yeah, 55-meter indoor. See her
all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited to have her on, talk about, her accolades and what she's accomplished, starting off on the high school level and then how it transitioned her, man, in her professional life as well as her athletic life, because, Indiana University, you know what I mean? She prospered, did her thing there. Yeah, she took her sports with her in her professional career. She's a kinesiology exercise science major, so big love for that. That's my undergrad major, man, so I always got love for that.
Oh, yeah, you keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Commonwealth Sports Talk bringing you our towns out of Bethel High and Indiana. Let's get it.
All right, welcome back. Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 3, Episode 2. We've got Bethel royalty here on the podcast with us, Miss Ara Towns. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm good, guys.
Good. Thanks for coming on. Yeah. So, right, let's get right into it. You were a beast on that track. We got 3-time outdoor 100-meter state champ, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Repeat.
You're right.
Let's talk about your transition, right? Because from the start, you were had an impact, but I was really interested into the way you developed yourself.
Okay.
Because you jumped as well as did the sprint events. but I know that you focus more on sprinting, towards the end of your high school career. So talk about what that did for you, in terms of improving, your craft and getting to the peak of your performance.
Well, I'll say that focusing on sprints as much as possible, because at the end of the day, it's still a team. So you have to still do your part as far as, if you had to jump, points, if someone else wasn't available, or if you had to run on a relay, or I even did hurdles actually too, up until my senior year. But it did help me focus a lot more. And basically my coach pretty much said to me that, if you want to get a scholarship, you need to be a versatile athlete and, be, across the board and several events, pretty good, or you're going to be great at what you truly want to do. So I decided to be great at the one event or two. So, yeah, but I mean, it definitely helped me focus on that. And a lot of the coaches recognized me for the 1 and the 2 and then the 60 or 55 at the time. So, yeah.
Awesome. So what was it like? Because the presentation, the gracefulness, your time, it is very packed, very quiet. But how does one bottle all this aggressiveness or competitiveness or the willing to be great and work ethic all into one with being so quiet, shall I say? Because that's the persona I'm getting.
Well, I've never been, my coaches always said that, I needed to get a little bit more tough, and, but I never was much of a talker when it came to something like track. I actually did karate, I played basketball, and I just pretty much was a person that said, you know what, I'm just going to let it lay out. So I don't know. It was weird. I put it in practice. If there was things on my mind, that was a time for me to be able to just release it and let it go. And it displayed on the track as well. In competition, I think that's where it really probably showed out. But I've always been like that. I really pretty much, I stayed to myself. I was able to cut out distractions and people that try to get in and mess up your A game. Yeah. I really didn't let a lot of that deter me during that time. But I was just able to kind of focus on it and do what I needed to do on the track.
Quiet assassin.
That's why I like it so much, right? Because you talk about the versatility of the sport, having to do what your team needs you to do, just like in any other sport, the matchups make so much difference, right? Because if you can score any event, that's what you want to do, so you have to be mentally tough and have that kind of approach, to the meet, because you're there on a business trip, as coaches say, you're there to win, right? So yeah, I like that.
Max out your 5 events.
Yeah, all 5.
Long day.
All 5, all the time. Every time I did 5, it was either, long and triple. I did long and triple, or I did one or two of the relays, and I did either, one in the 200 or the 55 in the hurdles. So,
what made you? Which event gets you most gassed up? Like, what's the one?
Oh, always the relay, 4x1.
Yeah.
4x1. That's where it is, right there.
Right. I'm a hunter.
Yes.
So I like to I liked either being lead off or anchor, any leg really. Definitely I liked being lead off. I liked being anchor, only because I like to be able to see someone in front of me and chase it down. I don't know. I've always
had to explain that hunter role, huh? Walking down. I think she's addicted to that sound in the crowd when you're walking somebody down.
That you? Everybody knows that. Don't play.
I know, but it's weird because sometimes I didn't hear anything. Sometimes they would ask me about it afterwards. Like, did you hear? You were walking someone down, because even though I'm a hunter, let's say I'll have someone on the way far out. Sometimes you can see them if you're in the front, if you're in like first leg or third leg or even last leg. Last leg, I think you can see yourself walking people down more, but when you're on the curve, you really couldn't. And, sometimes you know that you were gaining on somebody, but you didn't necessarily know how much of a gain until you go back and look at videos or someone tells you. And then, they would say, Eric, you didn't hear? I'm like, I didn't hear anything. I didn't know. I was just focused. I was trying to get the job done.
It's almost like that curve. It's like catching one at a time. So if you're in lane 3 or 4, you go 5, got them, 6, got them, and you just keep going. Right. And the next thing you know, you're ready to hand the baton off. So I completely can relate in that manner.
Running the gauntlet, so to speak. Yeah. So let's talk about how your athletic career transitioned into your professional career as well. You were an exercise science / kinesics major, right?
Right. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Me as well. So I always interested to see how that that experience in your athletic career transitions into your studies, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. You learn more about your body. You learn more about biomechanics. You learn about what it takes, to succeed as an athlete and as a performer. So how did that help you, in your studies?
It was easy in the aspect as far as like the anatomy, biology. I would say more physiology than anything is what I was probably more into, and even biomechanics. You do learn more about your own body in that aspect, and you're thinking about angles when you talk about the biomechanics part, and then you start learning about the your long jump or your angle when you're in the blocks, comparison to if you're 5'3" versus 6'3" or something like that, and then I'm able to see myself, visualize myself do it even on the track when it's weird. I remember being in one class and they were talking about, of course, going into the curve and, the momentum and how it can slingshot, affect. Yes. So, you could visualize yourself doing it. And then when I'm coaching it or able to teach it, I'm working with athletes, I'm able to give them a visual, as I had, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being an exercise science major, human development, all that stuff. So it was good. It was easy.
One time for the sports nerds. I love that. Yeah, be dope. I love it too. That's awesome. So take me on this journey here. Like, who were some of like your female role models, or just role models in general, or people that you looked up to throughout this process?
So now, do you mean as in celebrities or professional athletes, or you mean just maybe local?
I could be really difficult and be like, give me one from everyone. But I'm going to be fairly simple and just give you the ones that pops up in your head first. It could be celebrities, local, most inspirational.
Flojo was my first.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
During that time in the 80s, you see it and, you're like, whoa, she's magic, running like that. And I didn't know that I didn't know that you can be a student or be a kid and run. I was a military brat, so we were overseas, but that wasn't, track is big over there, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really see a lot of that on the military base or military installations. It was just your basic ballet, gymnastics type of thing. So when I came back to the States and then I ended up going, doing PE. PE was a big thing in the early 90s. And then, Flojo was the girl, she was the girl on the scene at that time. And I just said, I always wanted to run track. And then I found out, we have a junior Olympics. So I saw myself, I would do my nails, do my hair, do my little outfits. Even in high school, I ended up getting my high school coach to, when we would go to nationals, we would try to kind of emulate some Flojo appearances sometimes on occasion. It had to be tasteful.
Coach Williams?
High school, Coach Williams. Yes, he let us express ourselves in the way that we just wanted to as young women, with people like Flojo as one of my big influences. So that's my biggest influence as far as a celebrity goes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's really good. That's that because especially in this sport, it's an art, right? Like everybody has their own way of doing things. You got your own routine for the blocks, right? You got your own running style. You have everything. It has to be, genuinely yourself.
Right.
So
Yes,
I like it.
definitely.
We at Commonwealth
Was
Sports
herself.
Talk have to throw our accolades and our love out to you because you do your quiet work in your walks of life. And I had another question in regards to pitching track and field to the young ladies, but I would just tell them to look at your role model and also how your coach said to be an individual. And those
Definitely,
aspects always allow you to grow into the person you want to be, and that doesn't take from you. So I think that's a really, really great approach for a young lady who would be interested in track and field.
Definitely.
But we have 2000. Well, I'll rewind that and start over again. Let's say this: sophomore year, 1204. Junior year, it just took off. I mean, was there something in the air in Indiana your junior year? Because you PR with 1178, you had a 2408 in your 200. I mean, the lights started to click for you there, if I'm not mistaken.
It did. Actually, I think it was my sophomore year. I actually broke 12. There's a meet that was at Dunwoody. I think it's pronounced Dunwoody. And it was a nice decent sized meet. 'Cause I remember Casey Cumbest and some other good top athletes and stuff were there. But I actually ran 1197 or 1198. I broke 12, but that was my first year. But I think I only did it that one time that year, and then my junior year, I pretty much was consistent at that point in the 11s. But yeah, so I mean, I think I remember my high school coach telling me that at a indoor meet, I think my freshman year, I did horrible. I don't even know what I placed. I just know I didn't make the finals, but I did not like to lose. I was not probably the best. I didn't probably have the best sportsman, losing.
Still trying to be quiet, trying to hold it in.
Right, and I just didn't like it. I didn't speak on it, of course, but I did tell my coach, and I remember I was in tears, and I told him I will never not be in the finals again. And I think after that, that's when I still didn't have the greatest freshman outdoor year until state meet. Regionals I did decent, but state meet I got second my freshman year. And so after that, I don't think I was ever not in the finals in a track meet.
That's that competitiveness.
I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that feeling at all.
I know that question earlier sounded weird with saying being quiet but so competitive, but now it's starting to show. You see what I mean? I love it. I love the fact that the elegance, the ability to be such a lady and still have this competitive drive, but not have it consume you, but understand how to drive it in the right direction. So shout out to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That fear of failure is that curse on us, but it's that, man, it's a driver. It does it for us. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about the manifestation. When we always embrace the journey, but we don't necessarily know where it began. Talk a little bit about, I know, like, your inspiration as far as, your upbringing, I know you and your mom, really tight, especially before you went away. Like, there's so many articles about that. Talk about, like, how that kind of stuff fed into your inspiration on the track and how you carried yourself in your demeanor.
Well, first, my mom did not want me to go far. That was the first thing. She wanted me to stay. She wanted me to stay close. But okay, so to answer that question, I just knew that my mom worked really hard to allow me to pursue whatever it is. And I knew that at that time, school, me wanting to go to, wanting to go to school and not have that be a burden. And it's weird because most high school kids don't think about maybe getting a scholarship because, their family may not be able to afford it. But I knew that my mom wanted me to go to college, and I knew that, this was my ticket to get there. And I think that once I believed in myself and what I was doing, she saw it and she allowed me to do it, and she supported my decision ever since. So, just kind of like, this is going to happen, Mom. We're going to just go on this ride. She I don't think she really realized it until it was all over. And we saw the offers and the opportunities that I had doing it. And I think that, we both were just like, I didn't even know what was going to happen. I honestly didn't. I was just blessed. I was blessed that I had the talent and the gift that God gave me to be able to do that. And, everybody was happy.
And the cup runneth over. That's how it goes. Like, you never know what's happening when it's happening, right? It's always after the fact, or the first time you get a chance to take a second and look back and like, man, like this was everything.
Yes. I couldn't ask for anything like more. Great support system. I mean, it was a blessing. I'll say that. It was definitely
an enjoyable grind. That's one of them things where you grinded so much that you didn't foresee the future. You knew you had a goal, but it wasn't about just the goal. You enjoyed every step of it. And that's why after doing it, to get all that recognition national-wide as far as track, it was well due. It was with just due. So,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, you pick your head up and look back. It's amazing things that we've accomplished. And like I said, I'm going to tell you my little insider scoop. And I'm like, we're like 1 or 2 years apart. I was like, how did I not go up Big Bethel Road and just kind of get to know more? Like, 'cause, you get around in our area and you hear about other athletes and you always want to at least see or be around or talk. So I was like, man, just right up the street from Tab to Bethel.
I know.
Popped in and show my respects, because I followed you in the newspaper when track meets, because we both ran track. So when it happened, I was just like, wow, she might be breaking 12. And I
was
like,
trying to.
Yep. So I saw it in you. I appreciate it. Definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else you wanna touch on, Joe? You wanna hit on?
I'm just happy to have your time. I know you said that you wanted to make sure everything was done right and our preparation was done properly. So I wanted to make sure that we have proper preparation for you, because we didn't want
I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it.
There you go.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, I want to feel like home and say, there's no nervousness here.
No, I love reminiscing on track. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I would probably still be running if I didn't have several injuries.
Mm-hmm.
but this is what, like I said, is a God gift that He gave to me. I loved it. I still enjoy it. I jog more now, but the memories will never be taken from me. So
well, with that kinesiology background, do you find yourself balancing your daily life skills with that? I, for one, loved my kinesiology and in my time with the body mechanics, but that wasn't my major. It was sport management, but it was right in that realm.
Right.
I've tried with the 2 or 3 courses I've had to like implement that in my daily life. Is that something you carried forward?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a personal trainer. I took a little break, of course, because of COVID and everything that's going on. But I mean, that's my lifestyle. So, if I it's so weird. Like you said, like we were talking about before, your body. So when something is feeling a little off, or you start demonstrating something, you're like, oh, wait, haven't done that in a while. Let me go ahead and I might need to stretch that shoulder a little bit more. And then we're getting older too. So no, I definitely, I definitely use it in my daily life. actually did a Zoom workout with some friends early, and we were talking about that the other day. We were talking about that. We were like, yeah, we have to make sure we do some extra stretching. It's not like we could just hop on the track or hop into the routine like we used to. So, I use it definitely on a daily basis.
I'm glad you're not stubborn like men are, because it took like 3 or 4 injuries of mine to just realize that I can't just go out and perform. You've got to stretch before, during, and after just to survive.
Shoot, just right before COVID happened, I think it was January, February last year, I was working with one of my friends' son. He plays football. And we were just doing some speed stuff. We went to the track. I was just trying to demonstrate hot coals. And my calf muscle it started doing a little, and I said, oh, whoa. And I walked away limping a little bit. And it was funny because his dad was like, Eric, you just did like 6 steps. I said, we don't want to talk about that. We don't. We're just going to, I'm learning it. Like, it takes me one good time to feel a little something. I'm like, okay,
we'll adjust.
Let me get my mind right for this.
When that OG body start talking to you, you have no choice but to listen.
No choice. It shuts you down real quick, humbles you real quick.
I accepted being old when this cold weather hit and I started feeling it. And I said, man, when I'm using my grandma's remedies and quotes,
what was that again? What was that?
That wind got my knees feeling bad. My knees ain't working right with that cold air out there.
I got to get the cold gear out in the cold time. That's how I know I'm old.
Definitely.
Yes, I gotta get the gear that fits the conditions outside.
Right.
Think about that. It was like, we about to go outside and run. Not today.
Well, I gotta get the microwavable, like the little rice pack for my knees. I've had 3 knee surgeries, so I have to. Yeah, if I start feeling it, and then we have to work out, I'm like, wait a minute, I have to heat that up, heat my ankles up.
Joints are the ones that need all the attention.
Rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Can't forget it.
Right.
Write that down.
That's 101 right there.
Right. In the
active lifestyles, and we would always talk about a healthy tip. And so we got away from it because of different variations of guests. But me and Lamonte went for the whole season 1 talking about ways to just work out, and it doesn't matter. We were trying to help during quarantine, like, steps, they're everywhere, moderation, just different activities. So I love it. I love it.
Stay active, yes.
Yeah. We might have to add you in the active lifestyles.
Right now it's a challenge because people are working from home, or we're in a whole different life cycle right now. So we're trying to, you have to do things to keep yourself accountable, accountability groups, walking partners. And it sounds crazy, but it's true. You're home all day and you realize, like, I remember when COVID first started, I was working at my desk. I'm a nurse recruiter now. So I was at my desk and I was just working, and I think I didn't move from my desk until 2:30. Now, mind you, the day starts around 7:30. Right. 8:00 meeting, you do have lunch, but you're working from home. When you're working from home, you zone. I felt like am I in a track meet? Like you're zoning out. And I had to make myself get up and take my dog out and eat and all that type of stuff. And it's important because you can get sedentary, muscles start breaking down, and
preach.
Legit. Yeah, man, you definitely fit right in. When you take a look at your rap sheet, you definitely are, the epitome of the type of guests we like to have here on Commonwealth Sports Talk. So I really appreciate you coming on. We both really appreciate you coming on and sharing this time with us. There it is. We appreciate it, and you'll have to come back.
Yeah, sorry if I was a little nervous my first time, and
That's all right.
I never know what to look at when I'm looking at the Zoom.
Tell me
Do I
about
look at myself? Do I look at the camera?
Right.
Tell me. No, I heard this one fact, and it's so weird, but they said plastic surgery went up 5 to 10% in the case of Zoom calls because people are staring at themselves more than they've ever stared before.
Wow.
And
I
so
believe
those
it.
people with money, I guess, because that plastic surgery ain't me. Best thing I do is figure out how to get rid of some white and how to show my receipt.
That's about it.
Keep it bought.
And we can get that from the store. We can get that in a box and some color.
Tell me about it. So, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that's still a stat that was taken, and I can see where it comes from with people staring at Zoom all day. So
that is so funny. Yeah, I can believe it.
Wow.
Well, thank you guys for having me. So
thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Welcome back to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I am Lamonte Thomas. I got Joe Dillard with me. I got our new addition, Derrick Alston. What's good, man?
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, so we just had the interview with Ava Towns. Definitely a epitome of a track star, track athlete, all the way around on multiple levels. You had Bethel High School, Indiana University, and she just displays the type of athlete that was just focused on her craft, man. Definitely a highlighter in women's sports and in Virginia sports as well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. For her being so quiet, you just wonder, how does she have such a competitive nature? Like, it is in her to be competitive, yet she's very quiet and soft-spoken. So that's a good sign there of a well-rounded person.
Yeah, it was definitely special to bring her story out on Commonwealth Sports Talk for those who didn't know it, which brings us to our roundtable discussion in women in sports. And today we got Derrick on to help us with this topic here, man. We're talking women in sports, and specifically the inconsistency. We noticed that Duke and UVA shut down the women's programs, and yet the men programs continue to go. Let's just get your thoughts on that, man. What did you think when you saw that, and what are your feelings on that?
Initially, when the Duke women's program shut down, I thought it was due to them being a medical school. So I thought they might been wanting to take some further guidelines with COVID. And I think going towards the women was more of an easier target for the university because of money-wise. And then as far as UVA following up, I think it's just they want to take more precautions, and being that the women's sport doesn't get the respect as men's sports, it makes it easier to shut down those programs versus to shut down the men programs, highly due to them not having the NCAA tournament last year, which is the main money generator for the NCAA on all levels of sports.
I hear that. Joe, what about you? What you think, man?
I mean, at first I thought it was Duke's whole program, but to hear that it was just the women, because, Coach K was hollering a lot about we shouldn't be playing. So I thought it was a whole Duke program thing. But when the women did it and then Coach K continued playing, it made me wonder what was the logistics behind that, other than it being a women's program. And, it makes you kind of cringe when you see things like that, because that's not equality. And for some reason, one way or another, whether the ACC network stated that it's better to have the men's games or the men's games support the network so that the money still comes in regardless, you still got to be equal, man. And I just think that's a sign right there of it being shown.
Yeah, I get you. And personally, now that I'm hearing both your takes from it, I start thinking about, the true governing bodies behind what the NCAA is, right? So Coach K it's funny because he speaks out, but he does it in a diplomatic way that doesn't get him into trouble or much backlash, right? So even when he spoke about the civil unrest, or when he spoke about the college athletes getting paid, right? Like, it's always surprising to everybody out there who, when they hear him speak on it, because they're like, oh man, I didn't think Coach K would take that stance, but that's when the person comes out and he's outside of his role as the basketball coach, because he'll tell you how he truly feels, but at the same time, he lets you know that he's adhering to the governing bodies of the NCAA. And I think this is one of those topics. He talks about how it's not equal, and that if he had it his way, they wouldn't be playing. But obviously it's outside of his control, and he does what he has to do to support Duke's program, the best way he knows how. So, I mean, I don't know. I kind of think about the governing bodies kind of on the women's side, they're so much more humanistic when it comes to the rights, right? When it comes to doing what's right, whereas the men programs, I feel like they're more run by those governing bodies who we know what the motivation is behind most
Absolutely. Absolutely. The NCAA has a different agenda when it comes to the men's programs and the solicitation of, their product or their brand in comparison to the women, and how they promote that brand. But that's, like I said, that's not new at all. And it's just amazing that it's only 2 teams that have done it. So it makes you wonder why, like the real general reason behind it.
But that would lead me to the question is, do you think women shut down because they're not valued the same as the NBA as far as getting drafted in the money? Because women basketball, you have to kind of play the WNBA and overseas. So do you think that women feel like it's not worth the risk because they're not getting the reward at the end, even though some women are getting drafted in the WNBA?
I think they're forging a avenue in regards to by any means necessary. I mean, when you see Diane go overseas and play for a season, and how these women in the WNBA have weighed their options on how much money they can make overseas versus the limelight of a WNBA with a couple of possible endorsements. But that's been an avenue they consistently try to push open. And I think the fact that the NBA cannot have a grip of how they're handling their season, it's hard for them to step into the WNBA's arena and kind of control that narrative that is going from the women's professional basketball level all the way down to college in regards to these contracts and how the system keeps going. So I just think it's based on the money. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, D, because I feel like they're still trying to figure it out in the professional realm, right? When it comes to women, especially in basketball, because it's one of those things where when you look at the journey and the path, they're dedicating just as much of their lives and just as much of their time as the men are. I mean,
and they need to be paid just as much. It's if the NBA owns WNBA, then that money spread should be spread at least on a 65-35. And I guarantee you that 35% is way more than what they are receiving now.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. And a lot of us, especially those who love the game and we know what it takes for them to get to that highest level, we want to see them rewarded, for what they're putting in. At the same time, the value of the product that is, when it's looked at by viewership and, sponsorship and the almighty dollar, right? There is a number on that value as well. Right. So, and I think that's the happy medium that the women are trying to figure out, is exactly what Derrick said, is the risk worth the rewards, right? Like, what I'm putting in, is it worth, me, what I'm risking, because at the end of the day, you still got a life and a family, right? All the time. So like, is me not getting paid like the men are worth me getting COVID? You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So, I mean, I feel like it's a decision on their part too.
Yeah, it's a big difference in there in how they approach it, because they have to weigh many more obstacles than the traditional guy would have gone to the route of his professional craft. And, that's a sad, unjust thing. But at the end of the day, it's something that they really have to deal with. And so when you go and you have these supreme track athletes, these supreme softball and volleyball athletes, like there's a peak for them. So they've already got to start branching off and figuring out different routes. I even compare it to my track career. You know, as a boy, you think everything in high school, but when you go to college, you better wake up and know what tomorrow leads. So knowing that there was no future there, but there was an opportunity for me to grow and network off of it, I had to take advantage of it best I could. So I still think it's a great avenue for women in general, but that route is a lot harder than it is for the guys. And even though with Title IX and giving more collegiate opportunities for scholarships for women, which is awesome, I just think that it's still hard for them to get that full limelight that they deserve. And I mean, the world is run by entertainment, unfortunately. So we sound too boring and it ain't enough food for thought for people, then they tune out. If it is interesting, then they want more, and that's just how it works. So when you look at the women's sport, sometimes if you're not a fanatic of that sport, you may not be as interested. And that's a sad thing because there's some great talent on the women's side of sports.
But do you think that them not showcasing women, does that play an effect on the community of young ladies? Because because you only have basketball that's really considered to be a profession, but then when you go to the Olympics or have Olympic sports, you see women competing in a variety of other sports. So how is it that the women's market can't have nothing other than a professional platform on a basketball level? Because you have women that play a variety of different sports. Like they don't promote the track and field professional that well. They don't have women soccer leagues like that that's promoted. They don't have women professional softball. Like women play a variety of sports that they don't promote other than basketball. Like they don't promote football and you have women's teams. So I mean, the money market is the major thing, but it also comes from people wanting to put the investment as far as the marketing for the women, because kids look up to some of these women as they get marketed when they become Olympians or big timers. But, the followers for women's sports can increase if it's just marketed a little bit more, which can bring that extra money in. It's all about supply and demand. And if you're not supplying the entertainment or the marketing for the woman, then you're not going to be able to demand the dollar pay.
And that's facts. But that's why your soccer team the national team is winning and running their mouth while winning, which is just, that I would do it too. Pay me. We're winning gold medals and we're the best team in America or in the world, and we can't make money to live freely or happy or stress free. And to me, that's wrong. And would you know that this week the women's had a professional soccer league draft? I think Dennis Rodman's daughter went second. That's the only reason it made a headline.
And it didn't make that much of a headline at all. I haven't seen that run across ESPN.
Right. Exactly. I feel him on that. And I think that to answer your question, D, I think that may be more of, in the sports realm, the community's job, to flourish that. And it's just like growing a sport in general, right? Like from the grassroots level, you gotta bring everything that accompanies the sport with it. You gotta bring the education. You have to bring the marketing, right? You'll have to bring the interest of the sport. You have to grow it all in one. And I think that's the same with the women's sports, because like you said, they're there. The talent is there. The people are there. The sports are there, but they're just not getting that same recognition. I mean, just think about sports, think about the Washington Castles, right? That's the tennis team. And Washington, Venus Serena won so many titles in a row on that team, but people don't know about it because it's the lack of education. But I guarantee you, if young girls are seeing that growing up, you know what I mean? You're going to get a lot more interest just like that off of the sport, because they're icons, right? They're icons in the sport. And they're not just winning for now. They're generational talents. They're talents that we may never see again, right? So like if that gets in the eyes of our community and we actually show it to our community like we owe it to them, who knows what that would take, you know, how much that would grow the interest of the sport in young women.
You know, our town was on, and she had said FloJo was her mentor, role model that she had looked up to, the inspiration. And you have to realize that you need to see a version of you in order to feel like you can accomplish it. And anytime you say you want to do something, there's got to be a version of it there to drive a mass number. And it's just that very few sometimes that even if it's not there, they say they're going to be the first. And the position we have the young ladies in right now is not welcoming them into sports as they should be welcomed into sports. There should be a Title IX approach all the way down to elementary and recreation sports. And what I mean by that is, if I've got 15 fields, I need to put 7 of them on there for them girls, because there's just as many girls in this world as there is boys. And so if you want sports to teach these life lessons like they do, then why not these young ladies receive these good lessons as well? And so I just think that the effort and time is what is required from the higher ups in order for change to happen. I don't think it's the entertainment, believe it or not. I think that the entertainment is going to come when you pitch a product that is a demand. Almost how Derrick was saying it. It's almost the flip of it. You can make it a demand. Then it can become something you ask the money for, or it becomes high volume and then it gets its recognition. But, you know, it's all on the approach of those in charge.
Agree. Yeah, that's real good. That's real good stuff. You know, the value that, you know, is put into women's sports as a collective, you know, and I mean, only time will tell to see, you know, what we're really doing, if people are really, you know, putting their money where their mouth is, and if, you know, they get that equality that they deserve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. We got anything else on this round table? Anything else about women in sports y'all want to throw out there? Y'all want to talk about, mention?
Keep pushing, ladies. Keep pushing the door open. Keep letting the next little one believe in what you're doing, because they're watching.
That's well said. That's well said. Well, we're glad to have you on, Derrick. You know, the first of many, we hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I appreciate the invite, man. I look forward to being on as much as I can be.
Yeah, you brought a lot of gems on, man, for sure. Well, this is Commonwealth Sports Talk, and that's your roundtable discussion for Season 3, Episode 2. Y'all keep it locked. Now, we're going to bring you as much content. We're going to keep on bringing the noise. So we appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
Let's get it.